This skull was found with 675 others, stacked like bricks beneath the streets of Mexico City. For centuries, people said the Spanish were exaggerating. Stories of towers built from human skulls were pure propaganda, an excuse for conquest. But then, in 2015, archaeologists uncovered the real Huey Tzompantli, the Great Skull Rack. And what they found shocked, amazed, and appalled them. Join us as we look at the evidence for ritual human sacrifice, the bizarre rationale for this tactic, and why this ultimately led to the decline of the entire civilization. For centuries, we had reports from the Spanish conquistadors, accounts of brutal sacrifice and horrific mutilations. We even have the Florentine Codex, a beautiful bilingual text detailing the words of the Aztecs in their native Nahuatl language, but crucially translated into Spanish.
Whoa, let's back up. Everyone lies and exaggerates when they return from conquistadoring in a foreign country. Oh, the culture is so captivating. The food is divine. I probably caught it from a toilet seat. Spanish were probably telling a few untruths.
Well, Hernan Cortés, in his letters to King Charles V of Spain, described the idols in the temples as being
smeared with human blood.
Temple stained with blood? 1 star.
He wrote of towers full of the heads of the slain.
But that's just one.
And Bernal Diaz del Castillo, in his detailed memoir, The True History of the Conquest of New Spain, described not only the sacrificial rituals, but also the physical evidence they encountered. He wrote of temple walls caked with blood and the accursed smell of the slaughterhouses.
Well, that's only 2, and you can't trust a few bad TripAdvisor reviews.
You want more? Del Castillo left behind vivid, horrifying accounts of what he saw. He described the Tzompantli, the massive racks displaying thousands of human skulls, and priests drenched in blood.
Oh, how can a sentence containing the phrase massive racks make me feel so bad?
But still, skeptics doubted the Spanish accounts of Aztec barbarity, attributing them to conquest propaganda and exaggerations. That was until 2015, when a single discovery changed everything.
Surely it wasn't all sacrificing and ripping out hearts. They must have had hobbies. DIY, gardening.
Well, the base of Aztec power was Tenochtitlan, the site of modern-day Mexico City. It was beautiful. At its height, it had 200,000 inhabitants and was built on a lake with canals like Venice. At its center was the Templo Mayor, towering above the chaos. It rivaled anything in Europe at the time. The art and jewelry were amazing. Albrecht Dürer, the Renaissance artist, saw some of the artifacts brought back to Europe, which caused him to say,
I have never seen in all my days that which so rejoiced my heart as these things.
I'd think about booking 2 weeks for me and the wife, even with all the heart-ripping out, sacrificing stuff. It still beats 2 weeks in Cancun.
Then, in 2015, archaeologists excavating near the ruins of the Templo Mayor, the sacred heart of the Aztec capital, uncovered the Huey Tzompantli, the Great Skull Rack. And it was exactly as the Spanish had described, only even more terrifying. This wasn't just a few skulls on poles. It was a massive circular wooden structure where skulls were permanently fixed with lime and sand. We're talking thousands of skulls, meticulously arranged. The discovery was shocking.
I can't believe it.
What, the large-scale brutality?
No, the Spanish been correct.
It was the first large-scale physical proof that the Spanish accounts, long dismissed as propaganda, were chillingly accurate about the scale of the sacrifices. Mass sacrifice wasn't a myth. It was an organized, regular part of Aztec life. But here's where the story takes a turn. Here is the creepy discovery that really changed everything.
It get worse from here. It's already a tower of human skulls. That's a bigger red flag than taking your mistress to a Coldplay concert.
When the scientists began analyzing the 676 skulls they found, they expected to find one thing: males, captives of battle. But that's not what they found. They found the skulls of men, but also women, and even small children. Why would they sacrifice women and children?
Have you ever been to Chuck E. Cheese on Labor Day weekend? That's horrible.
It suggested the victim profile was far more diverse and that the reasons for sacrifice were much more complex than just celebrating military victories. And we'll get to that. But first, we have to understand how the Aztecs saw the universe. What exactly did they believe? And how did these beliefs lead to such extreme rituals? According to their creation myth, the gods had bled and died just to create the cosmos and humanity. In fact, they had done so 4 times already. So humans had a sacred duty, a cosmic debt, to repay the gods with the one thing that could nourish them: human blood. The Nahuatl word for this was Nextlahuali, which literally translates to debt payment.
Payday loans with machetes.
This wasn't about appeasing an angry god in a transactional way. It was an existential necessity to keep the universe from collapsing. Whole parts of Aztec society were devoted to this ritualized sacrifice, from the architecture of the temples and the intricate offering tables, to complex trade routes for the obsidian to create the knives, to the priests whose job it was to see that the gods were satisfied. Huey Tzompantli, the god of the sun and war, needed human hearts and blood to have the strength to rise every single morning and fight off darkness. Without it, the sun would die. But here's the real kicker. Historical records show that between 1452 and 1454, a catastrophic drought hit central Mexico. The harvest failed, and there was only one way to fix this.
Systematic water management and comprehensive irrigation system. Oh no, sacrifice. Lots and lots of humans sacrificing.
Not just any sacrificial blood, the blood of children. The Aztecs interpreted this environmental crisis as a sign. The gods were unhappy, and only the blood of children could solve the issue. At the Templo Mayor, archaeologists found the remains of at least 42 children, some as young as 2 years old. They had been sacrificed to Tlaloc in a desperate attempt to end the drought.
Tlaloc seems like an arsehole.
Tlaloc was the Aztec god of rain, storms, fertility, and water. He is associated with thunder and lightning.
Very, very frightening me.
And agriculture. He was a vital but fearsome deity, capable of providing life-giving rain and ensuring bountiful crops, but also capable of unleashing destruction through droughts, floods, and hailstorms.
Mrs. Collin also gets very hangry.
The skull rack proved this wasn't an isolated incident. Sacrificing non-warriors was part of the system.
Then it rained and everything went back to being peaceful again.
No, this constant need for victims fueled the entire Aztec Empire. Their wars weren't just for conquest, they were for capturing sacrificial victims. Warriors had to keep their victims alive, well, at least for the time being.
War! Huh! What is it good for? Capturing enemies and imprisoning them so they could be sacrificed to satisfy the blood debt of an impetuous deity.
Well, yeah. In the famous Flower Wars.
Finally! Flower wars sound nicer, happy, less rip your still beating heart out.
You would think that. But no, these were ritualized battles fought for the sole purpose of gathering a steady supply of victims. The system was a perfect self-sustaining loop. The religion demanded victims, which fueled warfare. The warfare provided a way for warriors to gain social status, which kept the political structure stable. And the public spectacle of sacrifice itself, displaying the skulls on the Tzompantli, was a brutal tool of political intimidation to keep conquered city-states in line.
A bit like showing off your big scary rockets.
But this system, the very thing that made the Aztecs so powerful, was also their greatest weakness.
Gout. Too much red blood giving gout and high cholesterol.
No, so much worse.
Erectile dysfunction?
The downfall of any civilization is a complex series of events, and the Aztecs were no different. The arrival of the Spanish with smallpox...
Smallcocks? The Spanish arrived with their smallcocks?
Smallpox, Colin. The Spanish arrived and brought the smallpox virus with them, and with no natural immunity, the virus ravaged the population. As the smallpox plague ravaged the Aztecs, they were weakened and vulnerable to attack. Not only did the Spanish bring smallpox and guns, but there was another aspect closer to hand, one that even the Aztecs didn't see coming.
The Spanish Inquisition? Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
No. The endless demand for tribute and sacrificial victims created deep hatred among their neighbors. Groups like the Tlaxcalans were furious about being forced to supply people to the Aztec gods. So when Hernan Cortés and his small band of conquistadors showed up, they didn't conquer the mighty Aztec Empire alone. That's a myth. He was able to build a massive army of indigenous allies, tens of thousands of warriors, united by one thing: their desire to see the Aztecs fall. In a final stand, the Aztecs deployed their ultimate devastating tactic against the Spanish. During the siege of Tenochtitlan, they captured and sacrificed Spanish conquistadors, displaying their severed heads on a makeshift skull rack. They even sacrificed Spanish women, children, and horses. It was a message of dominance that had worked for centuries against their rivals.
Wow, saved at last! And the Spanish went back to Spain with their small cocks between their legs.
No, it backfired. Massively. The Spanish didn't see it as a display of ritual power. They saw it as monstrous, barbaric proof that the Aztecs were evil. It didn't intimidate them. It filled them with righteous fury and justified a war of total annihilation. The Aztecs' most powerful tool of control became the very thing that sealed their fate.
So many conflicting emotions: anger, confusing, sympathy, arousal.
Well, the discovery of the Great Skull Rack in 2015 did more than just confirm the gruesome stories of the Spanish. By revealing the unexpected diversity of the victims, the women, the youths, the children, it painted a picture of a system that was far more complex and desperate than we ever imagined. It shows us an empire bound by a cosmic terror, willing to do the unthinkable to keep their world from falling into darkness. And it reveals the fatal paradox at its heart. The very ritual that held their universe together was the one that ultimately tore their empire apart. What do you think about these new discoveries? Does it change how you see the Aztecs? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the mysteries of the past.